Alright guys, I'm going to go over my version of 531, Wendler 531 today. I would say that it's more or less just a traditional Wendler setup. Instead of running 531, I run 351. I'm going to get into what makes up my program and how it's a little bit different, kind of like Wendler with a twist. So just right off, am I strong? Well, strength is relative. So some people might think a 225 bench is pretty strong. If you hit that milestone, that's good. 2 plates per side is good. But other people might think 405 bench is strong. I mean, pretty much everyone can agree that 4 plates on each side is a pretty good bench. So my version of 531, where has it brought me for current maxes? What can I do right now? My body weight's 190. I usually compete at 181 and sometimes 165. My current maxes right now is bench press. I can do 358.5 for touch and go. I paused 327.5. For push press, I can do 265 right now on an axle bar, and my strict press is 225. I did those on the same day for a strongman contest on the Reddit. Safety squat bar and trap deadlift. I did 365 for squats yesterday, and I did 475 for deadlift yesterday. So those are my current. I mean, in competition, I've done 385 squat. Most I've ever done was 395. But that was a couple years ago. Trap deadlift, 475. I did 495 last year. I like trap deadlift because you train what you like, and I do trap bar deadlift because it puts me in a better position to perform deadlifts. So I only compete in bench press and strict curl, so I'm not too worried about doing a straight bar deadlift or even with the squat using a straight bar. I use a safety squat bar, it works fine for me. Strict curl. On a couple occasions I've hit 150. I don't know if I have a video of it on YouTube right now, but I used to have it on Facebook. But 2 days ago I hit 146.5 on the Ivanko curl bar. So those are my current numbers. That's kind of where I'm at. Right now, any day I could hit these numbers. So I'm going to go into what I label as my core rules for my version of 531. So what I like to do is I max out less. I still max out, but maxing out is a risk for injury. I mean, there's a time and place for it, and it's on meet day. You go in the meet, you hit your PRs, good. In your training, you're going to hit 3 rep and 5 rep maxes, and generally, if your 3 rep max goes up, your 1 rep max goes up. Same thing with 5 rep max. So that's kind of how you want to gauge how you're doing. If your 3 rep and 5 rep max go up, you're getting stronger. So, I mean, if I was hitting 225 on bench for 5 reps, now I can hit it for 10, my strength went up. So that's how I like to gauge it. So, assistance work. You want to pick something that complements the main lift in some way. I like to hammer tricep extensions because it helps with strict press, helps with push press, and it helps with curl. It helps a great deal in bench press. You have a heavy bench and you can't lock it out, no good. So you have to think to yourself, how does this assistance work strengthening my main lift? You know, is it working the bottom portion of like a bench press or a squat, you know, in the hole? Are you working the mid-range of the lift, halfway up on a squat, mid-position in a bench press? And then you have the walkout, you know? Like you can be doing rack pulls and stuff for deadlifts to work the walkout, tricep extensions to work the walkout on bench press. pinch press for strict press and push press. You can, just press it from top of your head up to work the lockout. So you have certain points that you want to strengthen. And you want to pick assistance work that you want to do. If you don't pick assistance work that you want to do, you're not going to do it. So what I like to do is I have like a calendar written up where I try to hit 15 traditional cycles. So, I mean, if you do the quick math on what traditional cycle is, there's 4 weeks in a cycle. 15 times 4, 60 weeks. It's over a year, right? So I don't do that. I hit 15 cycles, but I deload about once every 7 weeks. The reason I run 3-5-1 versus 5-3-1, I like to do it that way because the 3 week, 3+ is usually somewhat difficult as the training max gets up. You're still hitting good reps, but it's only somewhat difficult. Then the 5+ week is the next week for me, and I always do the minimum on the last set. I never push the 5+ week, never. Then I get into the 1+ week, and I usually always push these. If I'm not feeling it, I'll just do 1, but most of the time I push these. For assistance work, I run a list and a B list for assistance work. This helps me. I pick like 4 different assistance exercises that help me in some way for the main lift, and I on A list they're different than on B list. That way, it's not the same assistance all year long. So like cycle 1, I would hit A list assistance exercises. Cycle 2, I would hit B list. Cycle 3 A, cycle 4 B. Keep alternating. I just keep doing that. So how do I find out my starting position? How do I find out what numbers to start with for when I restart the program? So when I do a season restart, it is always at the end of October or the beginning of November. Why did I choose this time frame? I chose this time frame because this is when the 100% raw powerlifting worlds usually is the end of October. It's not usually November, but end of October. So this way, end of October, I'm the strongest I will be all year. So that's why I restart every year. So how I restart, where do I get the numbers from? I take 80%, approximately. It doesn't have to be 80% on the nose. No one cares. A couple pounds here and there, or whatever. 75%, 85%. But yeah, usually 80% is a good starting point for me. So I do 80% for my best maxes the previous year, and I let's see, then that's my number. So I'll take 80% of like a 358-pound bench press, and that's where I start. It's 80% of it. So adding to the training max / working weight, I add 3 pounds to strict press and strict curl. It's really slow progress. Slow is good. Slow is smooth. I add 5 pounds for bench press and push press. And I do the same thing Wendler recommends for squat and deadlift. I add 10 pounds every cycle for that. So here's the important part. This is kind of what makes up the program. Is once I complete cycle 8, I do a reduction in all working weights. I lower them about 10%. And then I use that new number to run from cycle 9 to cycle 15. But I will not fudge with the weights once they're determined. So I do that reduction in working weight or after cycle 8, going into cycle 9, and whatever that is, I just run it. I do the same progression. I do, 3 pounds to working weight for strict curl, strict press. Then I do 5 for bench press, push press, and 10 for the legs. So once I get that new number, I don't mess with it again. So why and how does this work for me? Last year, I kind of found and experimented. It took me a long time, but I kind of found and experimented with chains and bands. Chains and bands. This is accommodating resistance. It's not very accommodating because it kind of sucks. It's really hard. It's hard to set up sometimes, and it kicks your butt. So I owe a lot of my progress to using chains and bands. They really help me. Okay, so this is a funny name. I made it up myself. I had to call it something. So what I call it the Gold Protocol. So it's kind of a fancy name, kind of funny, poke fun at it if you want. But it's just a name I came up with that it's all the assistance work I do. So I write it down in a composition notebook, and what I did on cycle 1, week 3, I'll go over, and I'm on cycle 4, week 3 at that point, just as an example. And oh wow, I was only doing, seated press. I could only do 165 pounds for 3 reps. Now I'm doing 185 for 3. So like, wow, that's some progress. So I just like being able to look back on it. So how Gold Protocol is broken down. So if I could use one word to describe it, it is intensity. So my intensity might be different from someone else's intensity. So there's 3 weeks that are important in Wendler 531. The deload's important, but I'm not talking about that. There's, the 3+, the 5+, the 1+. So the 3+ week, which is usually week 2, I do it week 1, but whatever. The 3+ week. For my assistance work, I do 5 reps. I do them as heavy as I can. And usually it's a pyramid up. So, because I had to warm up for it. So, seated press as an example. 135 for 5, 155 for 5, 175 for 5, and I just keep going so I can't do 5. And that's what I get that week. Some weeks I take it easy, whatever. I'll hit a lighter weight and I'll save it for another assistance exercise. And this is all after I maxed out the last set, the AMRAP set. This is after that. So that's your most important set, is the AMRAPs. So the 5+ week, I do no AMRAPs. I do the minimum reps. I do not do as many as possible. I also use no bands and chains on the 5+ week. So no accommodating resistance on that week. Take it easy. I hit sets of 8 on that week for assistance work. I hit the best set of 8 I can on that day. The 1+ week, I hit sets of 3 for assistance work. So I'll use seated press for assistance work on strict press and push press day. Same thing. I usually pyramid up. 185 for 3, 205 for 3, 225 for 3. Usually if I can hit 225 for 3 on that day, and I hit it continuously week after week, maybe I have fractional weight, so sometimes I'll put on an extra pound per side or something. It's going up. It's going up a little at a time. And that's pretty much what has helped me is bands, chains, and the intensity that I do my assistance work at. Let's talk about assistance work. I made a long list of all the assistance work. It's all on green right here. Right there. That's how long it is. I got a lot of assistance work. Do I do it all on one day? No. Do I not do some of these? Yeah, I don't do some of these at all. You have to kind of just pick and choose, and for bench press, let's say, what could I use? Dumbbell bench. Someone likes dumbbell bench. just flat dumbbell bench. They're like, it exploded my bench. I can hit so much more weight now. I tried dumbbell bench. It doesn't work at all for me. So I throw it out, you know. You keep what's good, you discard what's bad. That's kind of the whole basis of my version of 531 is I tried some stuff, I didn't like it, so I made my own version. So I'll just go over some of the assistance work here. So for like strict curl, because I compete in it, I have a whole day dedicated to strict curl. So my assistance work for strict curl: underhand pull-ups, underhand inverted row, tricep extensions. I do that every arm day. Seated curl, hammer curl, dumbbell curl, band/chain curl. I usually don't like to do both. I'll do either one or the other on a workout. Isometric curl. These are brand new. I threw in all isometrics for curl, press, and bench. Don't really do them for deadlift or squat. But the idea is that I'll take an empty bar and I'll position it somewhere around midpoint, and I'll just pull. I'll try to curl against an immovable force. So I can't move it, but I just try as hard as I can. And I do that for like 4 or 5 seconds, and I drop it, and I up against my legs. I don't just let it free fall. I let it hit my legs. So then I am ready to do a couple more reps, and I do like however many reps. Doesn't really matter. 3 to 5 reps in a set usually. Then plate hanging curl. It's just what it sounds like. I use my bands, attach it to the bar. As I curl, the plate that's attached by a band on the end of the bar is doing this. Just, it's just going up and down. I have to control it. Just have to stabilize the weight. So I like to do that on my week 1, because week 1, it's light enough weights, and I just do like stability and speed on that week. I'll go over assistance for like the press, push press. So plate hanging press, front raises, side raises, seated press, one arm press, either push press style or strict. Dead press, that's just the weights on the safety pins, and depending on what height you want to work on, nose, chin, head, a little bit above head to work on lockout. That's what a dead press is. Z press, everyone knows Z press. You look it up on YouTube. You're sitting your butt on the ground, and you're pressing the weight as you're sitting on the ground. So it's like a seated press, but instead of being in like an adjustable bench, you're just on the ground. I do isometric press, waiter's walk. I got this one from Never Safe guy, Brian Alger. He puts a heavy weight above his head, either a dumbbell, kettlebell, or like a yoke, and he'll lock it out, and he'll go for walks to help work on stability. Trap bar press, I throw that in there. Neutral grip, incline press. I don't do all this assistance work. I pick a couple and I run it, and I see progress. I don't throw it out too soon. I get the time to work. And squat, deadlift, it's pin squat, zombie squat, lunges, pause squat, plate hanging squat, work on stability, speed squat, work on speed. A yoke squat. I have a yoke, Titan T3 strongman yoke. I'll drop that cross member down and I'll do like a partial squat, overload. Band chain squat, band chain deadlift, lunges, deficit pulls, frame carry. I'll do frame carry because it's just like farmer's walk. I'll do one or the other depending on how I feel. And it's a weighted walk. So those are very taxing. They're really good for you. Yoke push. I'll lower the cross member and I'll just push it back and forth in the basement here. Axle hold. I'll work on my grip. I'll take my body weight and I'll do I don't like to do it from the ground, but I'll do like a partial deadlift out of the rack, like knee height or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just enough so it's off the safety rack. And I'll just hold it for time. So, double overhand, none of this. So double overhand, I'll hold the axle bar as long as I can. So that's the assistance work in a nutshell. I'll just go over a list and a B list assistance work that I chose for bench press for the 2021 Wendler season that I have. So week 2 for the A list. I'll go over A list first. Week 2 is I'll do bands or chains bench, tricep extensions, floor press, and banded spotto press. So spotto press, if you guys aren't aware, is so where you take the weight, you unrack it, and you pause a couple inches off your chest. So it's harder than a pause bench because a pause bench, you're pausing it on your chest. You have somewhere to pause it. But this banded spotto press, it's a couple inches off your chest for a regular spotto. But when you throw in the bands, it makes it that much harder. So that's my week 2. Week 1 for the A list, speed bench, plate hanging bench, work on speed and stability. Floor press again, tricep extensions. Now week 3, band chain bench. I throw in board bench. I hit the best triple I can for that day. But I hit tricep extensions, floor press, and isometric bench. So that's it for my list A. And then the B list, which would be the next cycle, would be cycle 2. So what I did here was I kept all the assistants. Well, okay. I kept most assistants, but I switched out floor press and I put in dead bench with the strongman log at chest level. So neutral grip bench. It's an 8-inch strongman log, so it's touching my chest, but the handles are still a little bit higher. So I don't know. It's the log's touching my chest, so it can't go any lower, but the handles make it a little bit higher off my chest, but not a lot. So same thing, week 2, band chains, tricep extensions, banded spotto press, then the dead bench I just explained. Week 1, speed bench, tricep extensions, plate hanging bench, then more of the dead bench log. Week 3, pretty much the same thing. Excuse me. Band chain bench, tricep extensions, board bench, isometric holds, and did I say board bench? But dead bench also. So the whole point of the video is just that there's a lot of templates that Wendler has, and you can pick, run and choose what you want to do for a template. I tried different templates, here and there. I have his newest book, Forever. My point is that you don't need to follow a template to see progress. I kind of made my version of the program over the course of a couple of years. I saw really good progress, especially in strict press, in the last couple of years. I used to struggle at like 175. It used to be like a gift to hit 175 sometimes for a strict press. And September I hit 225. And it was on an axle bar, so that was even better. My point is, if you're seeing progress running his templates, then keep running his templates. If you're not seeing progress, there's nothing that says you can't run his traditional numbers and tweaking.